Hello there, and welcome back to the neighborhood. We're taking a look at Crinacle's latest collaboration, the Kiwi Ears Singolo. When I first saw this thing with its innovative CARS technology, which stands for Kiwi Ears Acoustic Resonance System, I knew I had to take a look. According to crin, this CARS technology is a resonator, or what looks like a maze-like structure inside the IEM, which is designed to reduce frequencies around 300 Hz in order to create a clean bass shelf that would otherwise be completely impossible in a single DD IEM. Let's get into it. So the build here is a lightweight resin one with a swirled faceplate and an 11mm Japanese liquid crystal polymer diaphragm with a CARS resonator incorporated. Compared to other LCPs, I tend to prefer the sound signature of Japanese-made ones, so I had high hopes for this driver, especially with the inclusion of the CARS tech. But more on that when we get to the sound. Inside the box, black and clear silicone ear tips are provided, along with a clear, single-ended, silver-plated copper cable. The cable is fine, and it reminds me of a combination between a 7Hz cable and a first-generation Moodrop SSR cable, but there's also not really anything here to write home about, either positive or negative. But the ear tips, though, well, they weren't really matched well for this set. Like, not at all. Both regarding sound and fit. You see, with the stock ear tips, this IEM is very shallow fitting, causing this IEM's housing to push up against my ear, and potentially unseating it from my ear canal with very little movement. Yet, even while holding this IEM in my ears to maintain a seal, the tips still never really sounded any good. With these ear tips, the Singolo sounded hollow, thin, metallic, gritty, and plasticky. The black set was better than the clear set, but ultimately, I'd recommend alternative ear tips if one is remotely interested in the Singolo. The best outcome that I experienced with the Singolo came from using KZ Starline ear tips, as this set of ear tips curbs some of the Singolo's harsh character, smoothing it out and making it more listenable. So it likely goes without saying at this point that the sound of the Singolo was pretty much a letdown, and with the stock ear tips, it was practically unlistenable. I was originally excited by the possibilities of this innovative design, but the sound simply didn't live up to expectations. Its general character reminded me of a 7Hz Dioko, which I also didn't like for similar reasons. But most offensively, the timbre of the Singolo is just off. It's overly crisp, granular, and tinny, and breaks up to the ear in unpleasant and harsh ways. I had to run it off of a hybrid tube amplifier to make it even remotely enjoyable. And even then, it still reminded me of its general tonality off other amps, which kind of ruined it for me. In terms of the sound profile, with most ear tips, the bass lies too far removed from the rest of the mix, floating underneath it. But with KZ Starline ear tips, this is remedied a bit, with the bass becoming more full-bodied. Even so, I still found the low end to be somewhat lacking in its dynamics, as it was too soft in its impact and too quick in its resolve. In terms of the rest of the frequency response, the midrange and treble both sound thin and hollow overall, even if vocals are fairly well executed. Presenting is appropriately forward without ever being too intense, with equal levels of presence for both males and female vocalists alike. Still, air from the Singolo has a certain artificial quality to it, almost coming across as cave-like to the listener's ear. And ironically, despite this type of ambient echoey sound, the soundstage isn't particularly noteworthy either, and pretty tight from left to right, with sounds mostly occurring between one's ears. Positively, separation was pretty decent for the price point, even within its constrained soundstage. With that said, common sonic qualities did make instrument distinction a bit dicey, masking differentiation depending on the instruments used in the track. But be that as it may, the Singolo does improve slightly from sustained use, as the driver does loosen up a bit over time. Yet, in summation, the Kiwi Ears x Crinacle Singolo is innovative technology, with its Japanese LCP and CARS technology that turns out to be an interesting dream, but a poorly executed reality, which ultimately fails to impress my ears. It falls short of delivering any notable or redeeming qualities acoustically, despite catching one's attention on a spec sheet. Its timbre is just too off for me to recommend, and in general is somewhat artificially cave-like, lacking in general pleasantries aside from particular aspects of vocal delivery. With its stock ear tips, my first reaction was this may be Crinacle's worst collaboration yet. But with an ear tip swap and some burn-in time, it does improve somewhat, just not enough to be really of value in the end, even at $79. Thanks for making it to the end of this video and watching it all the way through. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the content, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on in order to not miss an upload from me. I'll also place links to other social media platforms in the description below if you're interested in keeping up with the channel there. And with that, I'm out for now.